Good morning everyone. Today what we are going to study is the medial surface of the brain, and the study of this particular part of the brain, that is the cerebrum, the region of the diencephalon, the region of the brainstem, we will divide it into two parts. What are the two parts? The first thing which we are going to study is we are going to study the region present above the corpus callosum, that is the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. Okay, and then we will go from corpus callosum downwards. So we are going to divide our study into two parts. The first part is the upper part and the second part is below the level of corpus callosum. So let us start by seeing the sulci and the gyri. And now we will concentrate on the sulci and gyri present on the medial aspect, medial surface of the brain. Can you see what is this layer which I am peeling off so that we can see the sulci and the gyri properly? Not this one, this layer. This is the arachnoid. This is the arachnoid. This white cellophane paper like layer which is present here. This is called as the arachnoid matter. And to see the sulci and the gyri properly, I have to peel this layer off like this. I have to peel this layer off so that the sulci and the gyri are properly visible. Okay. And another thing you can see, this is the torn part of the artery, one artery, and this is the torn part of the other artery which is present. And while I was teaching you corpus callosum, this artery I have told you lies along the superior aspect of the corpus callosum. It is related to the superior surface of the corpus callosum. See the way this artery is coming, folding round the genu of the corpus callosum, then going up. This is the anterior cerebral artery. This is the anterior cerebral artery. It's a branch of the internal carotid artery. Internal carotid artery has got two terminal branches, MCA, middle cerebral artery, and anterior cerebral artery. This is the anterior cerebral artery. Anyway, let us now concentrate on the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere present above the level of the corpus callosum. This is the corpus callosum. আবার বলছি এই জায়গাটা একটুখানি ভেঙে আছে. This is the portion of the rostrum. This is the genu. This is the body, and this is the splenium. This is the largest commissural fiber that is present, that is called as corpus callosum. Can you see the presence of a sulcus just above the corpus callosum? This is called as the callosal sulcus. This sulcus is called as the callosal sulcus. Actually, there is the presence of a additional sulcus. This sulcus which is present above like this. This is the cingulate. This is an additional sulcus. This is an additional sulcus. इसीलिए ये थोड़ा अलग है. This sulcus which is present here and going up like this. अब देखो. This is the cingulate sulcus और ये पूरा जो gyrus है, ये ऊपर वाला ये नीचे वाला, this पूरा मिला के, this is the cingulate gyrus. So this is the cingulate sulcus. And in the posterior aspect, it is turning up like this. It is going up like this. Okay. So this is dividing this entire region into a lower part, this, the cingulate gyrus, and the upper part. Now for the upper part, to understand the upper part, again we have to go to the superolateral surface. The superolateral surface we have to go and we have to identify the central sulcus. This is the central sulcus. Keeping all the 4 points in your mind. This is the precentral gyrus and this is the postcentral gyrus. This is the central sulcus. Now the central sulcus is coming to the medial surface by cutting the supromedial border, and the gyrus which is present surrounding the central sulcus. দেখ আমি কিন্তু এটাও বলতে পারতাম as central sulcus. তোরা তো এখানে বসে বসে ঘাড় নাড়তিস, কিন্তু আমি এটা বলছি না কেন? See, it is ending here. It is not going. আমি তো এটাও বলতে পারতাম, কিন্তু এটা তো ওইদিকে যাচ্ছেই না. কিন্তু এই central sulcus, so very very important, you have to identify which one is the central sulcus. This present along the superolateral surface, going like this, cutting the medial supromedial border and extending to the medial surface. This is the central sulcus, and this area which is surrounding the central sulcus is called as the paracentral lobule. It is the paracentral lobule which has got component of the precentral gyrus extending to the medial surface and the postcentral gyrus extending into the medial surface. This portion which is present, the anterior part of the paracentral lobule, this one which is present, this is the continuation of the precentral gyrus. So this is the motor area. Which area is represented here? Now in physiology you have studied about the motor and the sensory homunculus and their topographical marking on the superlateral surface. It is upside down. That means this particular region which is present here is giving the motor fibers to the region of your inferior extremity below the level of the knee joint, and this also contains the centers for the act of defecation and micturition. This particular region, the anterior part or the motor part of the paracentral lobule, whereas this particular part present on the posterior aspect is the continuation of the postcentral gyrus like this. This particular part is in continuation of the postcentral gyrus, which is the primary sensory area. That means this area is for the sensory innervation of your lower limb below the level of the knee joint, and the feeling of distension of your rectum anal canal and the urinary bladder comes here, so that the act of defecation and micturition takes place. In other words, this area, the paracentral lobule, is the highest point or site of defecation and micturition. Please remember that, this particular region. Now if you come to the region which is present in front, this entire region, medial frontal cortex, this is called as, this is having many sulci and gyri, this area is called as the medial frontal cortex. Now if you extend the cingulate gyrus like this to the anterior aspect of the lamina terminalis, এই আমি যদি আর্টারিটা এখান থেকে সরাই একটুখানি, এই দেখো, this is the anterior aspect of the lamina terminalis, because here you have the lamina terminalis. This area is called as the paraterminal gyrus. Can you see this gyrus? Paraterminal gyrus. The area which is present in front of it, এই জায়গাটা, is called as parahippocampal rudiment area. This is called as parahippocampal rudiment area. This area is the paraterminal gyrus, and this area which is present just in front of it, এই জায়গাটা, this is called as par olfactory area या par olfactory gyrus. তাহলে এখানে হচ্ছে তোমার পেছন দিক থেকে paraterminal gyrus, parahippocampal rudiment area and par olfactory gyrus या par olfactory area. This is the anterior continuation of the cingulate sulcus. এই যে জায়গাগুলো আছে, these are the cortical areas associated with olfaction and also the limbic lobe. Preterminal या paraterminal gyrus, hippocampal rudiment area and par olfactory area. This is the anterior and inferior continuation of the cingulate gyrus. Okay, so this area is called as the medial frontal cortex, this entire area, and here this area you are having, this is the region of the paracentral lobule. এইখানে একটা vertical sulcus আছে, যার ঠিক নামটা ক্লিয়ার কোনো বইতে লেখা নেই, but the area which is present in front of it is the medial frontal cortex, and this is the area of the paracentral lobule. What I want to emphasize is, this is looking like this in this particular specimen. In another specimen, maybe this is shifted a little here, and you can get a very nice and clearly defined paracentral lobule. It differs from area to area. आपको कैसे सोच के रखना है? What is this area? How we will find the paracentral lobule? Central sulcus आएगा, medial surface में आएगा, and the area of the gyrus surrounding the central sulcus is the paracentral lobule. Now you have this one, the cingulate sulcus, which is going up, and it is then having a U-turn upwards like this. ठीक है? This entire area is the cingulate sulcus, and now let us go to the back side. I have to peel off the arachnoid matter a little. When I am peeling off the arachnoid matter a little, now here you can see, in this particular region here, now you can see the cingulate sulcus is going to the back side of the splenium. This particular region where I am putting the forceps is called as the isthmus, and the cingulate gyrus is continuous with the parahippocampal gyrus. তার মানে this area which is present, this is the parahippocampal gyrus. This is the region of isthmus and it is continuous with the cingulate sulcus. Okay, we need three more areas, and those three areas will be clearly defined once we remove the arachnoid matter from this region. Can you see two sulci now? ये देखो एक sulci ऊपर से ऐसे करके नीचे आ रहा है. Can you all see this sulci? This is called as parieto-occipital sulcus. This is called as the parieto-occipital sulcus, and this sulcus which is present here, this is called as the calcarine sulcus. The parieto-occipital sulcus and the calcarine sulcus. The calcarine sulcus is extending round the occipital pole to the superolateral surface. এইখান অবধি আসছে. And this is the lunate shaped gyrus which is present surrounding the posterior end of the calcarine sulcus. Calcarine sulcus is extending along the medial aspect, more prominent, and a little bit in the superolateral aspect. तो इसको घेर के 1 second এখানটা একটুখানি peel off করে দিই. Yeah. So this gyrus which is present surrounding the end of the calcarine sulcus, this is like a comma shaped, so this is called as the lunate gyrus. This is called as the lunate gyrus. This is the calcarine sulcus. The calcarine sulcus in the posterior part is an example of an axial sulcus. What is an axial sulcus? Where the important functional areas are present along the walls and the lips of that sulcus, that is called as an axial sulcus. The area grows, functional area grows along the walls of the calcarine sulcus. Any sulcus where the functional areas are present along the wall, that sulcus is called as an example of an axial sulcus. What areas are present here? Striate, prestriate and parastriate area. These areas together are the visual motor cortex, area number 17, 18 and 19. Whereas the anterior part of the calcarine sulcus is called as a complete sulcus. What is a complete sulcus? Any sulcus which causes an indentation on the deep lying ventricle, that type of a sulcus is called as a complete sulcus. This sulcus, that is the anterior part of the calcarine sulcus, causes an impression on the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. Hence the anterior part is an example of the complete sulcus. Okay. So the calcarine sulcus is an example of a axial as well as a complete sulcus. Now let us demarcate the areas which are present here. You can see what I have told. This is the cingulate sulcus. This is the paracentral lobule which is present here. This is the medial frontal cortex. Now these two sulci are helping us to demarcate three areas. One present behind the upturned end of the cingulate gyrus, this area. This particular area which is present here is called as precuneus. This is called as precuneus. Okay, we have got a suprasplenial sulcus here. Actually the area present above the suprasplenial sulcus, এটা হচ্ছে suprasplenial sulcus. এর উপরের এই এরিয়াটা, this area is called as the precuneus. The area which is present between the parieto-occipital and the calcarine sulcus, this is called as cuneus. Precuneus, cuneus, and the area which is present below this line. এই জায়গাটা দেখো, এটা একটা মানুষের জিভের মতন দেখতে লাগছে, like the tongue. So this area is called as the lingual gyrus. This area is called as the lingual gyrus. So what are the areas which we are having here? The areas are the precuneus. How the precuneus? What are the boundaries? Anteriorly by the upturned end of the cingulate sulcus, below by the suprasplenial sulcus, and behind by the parieto-occipital sulcus. This particular area is the area of precuneus. What is the boundary of the cuneus? Anteriorly parieto-occipital sulcus, inferiorly the calcarine sulcus, and above by the supromedial border. This is cuneus. What is the area of the lingual gyrus? The area of the cerebral hemisphere present below the level of the calcarine sulcus here. This is called as, which looks like a tongue, this is called as lingual gyrus. So by this we have completed the medial surface of the brain, mainly the cerebral hemisphere. So very quickly I am again telling you what are the main areas. This is the callosal sulcus. This is the cingulate sulcus. This entire thing is the cingulate gyrus, which is continuous below with the parahippocampal gyrus through the isthmus. In front, this is continuous with the paraterminal prehippocampal rudiment and the parolfactory area, which is present in front of lamina terminalis. अब हम ऊपर आते हैं. ऊपर यहाँ पे हमारा क्या है? Which is the area cutting? Yes, this one. This is central sulcus. It is cutting to the medial surface. So this is the paracentral lobule. Okay. This area which is present in front, medial frontal cortex. Then on the posterior aspect you have a parieto-occipital sulcus है सामने और suprasplenial sulcus है ropore precuneus. A actor sulcus, and this one is called as the calcarine sulcus. This is cuneus, and below the calcarine sulcus this area is the lingual gyrus. So these are the areas present of the cerebral hemisphere, the important sulci and gyri above the level of corpus callosum.